Voices of the West. Today we are honored with speaking with C. Wayne Winkle, who is one of our absolute best sellers at Dusty Saddle. You are consistently in the top 20 overall for Westerns at any given time in the last couple of years. So quite the achievement there. Welcome, Wayne.
Thank you, Kevin. It's good to be here. Appreciate you letting me come and talk to you.
Oh, my pleasure entirely. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself to get started with here.
Well, I'm a retired psychologist. I worked for over 40 years doing that kind of thing. And finally, it was time to get out and do something else. So I've always enjoyed writing and thought I'd give it a try and see what happened. And here we are.
Indeed. What is it about Westerns that drew your attention?
I grew up watching Westerns on television every Saturday and some days in between. I don't know, it kind of got ingrained in me, I guess, because of that. My parents enjoyed watching them as well. And even after I left home and was married and had a family, we'd go back to visit the grandparents. They always had the Western Channel on. So it's just part of my life.
Very good. Well, what do you think as a top 20 off and on from number one kind of bestseller of everything here, what makes a good Western?
Oh, well, that's a broad question, Kevin. And I think,
Indeed.
yeah, to me, I think a good Western is a story that has a strong hero type person. Doesn't have to be a man, could be a woman. I've read some Westerns that had good female characters, and they were at least as good as males, in many cases better. But a strong character who has a goal of some kind that in some way gets thwarted. And they have to then work at getting back to their goal and achieving and accomplishing what they want to, going over all of these obstacles that nature and other people put in their way. And along the way, it's always good to put a little humor in there. So I think sometimes that's the reason why the heroes have a partner with them, so that they bounce things off each other and sometimes even get in trouble with each other.
The elusive sidekick as it goes there.
That's it exactly, yes.
Very good. When you are writing, do you write with the author in mind, or do you write specifically to your own taste?
It's a bit of both, I think. It's important for me to put myself into the book because that makes it a little more genuine. But I think it's very important. I have a little bit of training in copywriting, writing advertisements and things. And one of the major rules there is to write to one person. And I think that helps in writing a Western as well. I write to that one person who's going to read my book, and I help them to put themselves into that place, to suspend their disbelief, I think is the term that's used in most fiction writing, and put them into my hero's place, doing what he or she is doing and experiencing the same thoughts and feelings and sensations that the main character does. And that's not easy.
No, not well at all. You have to try and get them to buy into the entire situation. That often requires a lot of research. How much research do you put into your projects?
Well, most of my research is ongoing as I write. Of course, there's always the setup beforehand when I'm writing, when I'm putting the plot. I work from an outline. I can't do the seat of the pants writing. I simply cannot do it. So I need something to tell me at least a general direction I'm going. So while I'm doing that, of course, I put together a lot of research in the beginning so I know where I'm going. But there are always things that pop up that I hadn't thought about. So I'm a real good friend of Google. And yeah, there are all kinds of things you can find on Wikipedia and other sites, in the ether out there. I don't know where that is, but it's always there for me. So I do a lot as I write as well as beforehand.
Excellent. So recently you released The Secret, finishing up one of your series along on there, and you're about to launch a brand new one. Tell us a little bit about all of that.
Well, the Secret, like you said, was kind of the last, at least in my mind, the last story in that series of John Taylor Bishop. Um, I've had thoughts recently of maybe bringing him back for at least one more book, but that's still kind of out there somewhere, over here on this side. But the new one is a little bit different. The title is Reno Gates, and that's the main character in a way. Actually, I'm writing that series from the viewpoint of a 17-year-old boy who is his nephew. Now, it's been a long time since I was 17, but I'm doing my best to get back into that mindset and help Will Morgan as the 17-year-old. I'm trying to help him learn a lot from his uncle Reno as they go through these adventures. Now, you're going to have to excuse me for just a minute because I'm working now on the second book, so I've got all of that in my mind. I'm going to have to switch gears and think about what I wrote in the first one. Will has been on a ranch in the Texas Panhandle for 3 years. His parents died, and his uncle, the only living relative that he knows of, put him there to sort of become a man, in a sense. Now he's come back to get him, and they're going on a series of adventures, one of which is going to entail Reno's former love down in Mexico. I don't want to go too far into that, but she's in some trouble, so they're going to go find her and take care of the bad guys and rescue her, so that along the way, Will is learning a lot about the frontier, about how to survive there, and how to, in actuality, how to become more of a man like his uncle Reno. Now, Reno is a little mysterious. He has a lot of things in his background that are going to come out gradually over this series of books. I would love to tell you some of them, but I don't want to spoil anything.
No, by no means.
Yeah, but I will say this: he has a source of money that no one knows where he got it. So I'll leave it at that, and maybe that's a teaser.
Unknown past, unknown resources, all kinds of things that could be happening with that. Yes.
Yes.
Mysterious gold mine somewhere in California that may or may not be there. You got riverboats, you got cattle, you got all kinds of things.
Exactly right.
So when it comes to coming up with an overall main character and such like that, where do the characters come from for you?
Honestly, a lot of my characters just kind of bloom in my head, so to speak. The concept of Reno Gates, I've been toying with under other names for probably a year or so. I don't even remember where the idea originated of this Western frontiersman who has that surprise source of money, but it was there. And I just began gradually working it in. And finally, Reno is the one who became the main character there. So I don't have any magical way of coming up with characters. They just seem to be there when I need them.
Always an important thing when you need them, definitely.
Yes.
So
yes.
when you sit down to write a book and that type of thing, do you have an idea for the plot for where you're going here? You say you outline everything. What
Yes.
you have the idea for the story before you basically get going on here? Talk us a little through the process.
Yes, I do. Sometimes I will have the ending in mind before I ever start with the plot. That has happened 3 or 4 times so far, and I work backwards from there. Um, Most of the time, I will have an idea of what I want the hero to do, and then I fill in the blanks of the obstacles he or she is going to have to overcome in order to get there. And those become my plot points as I do the outline. And sometimes, now I'll have to say this, you may have heard in the past other writers say that, I'm going along and I know where I want these characters to go, and then all of a sudden they take off and go somewhere else. That happens. It has happened to me numerous times. And sometimes they surprise me with the way they want to go. Instead of where I want them to go, they go off over here. And it's a much better story. That all works together eventually to get a plot together, and it becomes a pretty good story.
Indeed, yes. I've often heard of people having the characters in their mind and they're basically just taking down notes from whatever the character is telling them the whole time.
Yes, I think that happens. Um, I have an imagination that I can't shut off. I mean, even in the middle of the night when I wake up, I'm thinking about some of these things, and it sometimes keeps me awake longer than I want it to. But yes, listening to the characters as they are on the page talking to me, I think is very important.
Have you ever done anything with a character that readers got upset with you over?
Um, I don't know if they got upset with me or not, but there was one book that I recall that I think they didn't like very well, and it was maybe maybe it was a little too graphic in a way. It was a story of a young woman who was kidnapped by a gang of men who were kidnapping women and taking them to Mexico to sell them, and about her brother who was chasing after them to rescue her. Some of that got, I think, maybe a little too graphic, so it didn't sell very well, or not as well as I wanted it to. Um, and I'm kind of thinking that maybe with the John Taylor Bishop series, I'm kind of thinking people didn't want that to end yet either. So that's one of the reasons I'm considering bringing him back at another time.
Indeed, he's got very solid legs on him. My wife is tracking who's in the top 10 at any given time, and it's yours over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Yeah.
so definitely you got something going on there that people are enjoying buying and reading. So,
And honestly, that's been a terrific surprise to me. I never thought I would do this well writing books, but I'm very grateful to my readers. I'm very grateful to God that He has blessed me this way.
indeed. Oh, you've been consistently one of the most prolific authors that we've had at DSP. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
just about every 2 weeks, it seems like I can count on one of your books coming through.
Well, not quite that fast, but yeah,
Seems like it.
yeah, yeah,
We get there and it's like, it's about time for another Winkle. Oh, yeah, there it is.
yeah.
So, what's the best piece of advice you can give to someone that's starting out trying to write?
um, it's important to write something every day. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. It doesn't matter if you ever use it or not. Get something down on computer, on paper, or whatever. I write both ways, on the computer and on paper. So I think doing something every day, just 200 or 300 to 1,000 words, or even less than that, keeps you flowing. It's kind of like, I believe it may have been Louis L'Amour who said something like, the water doesn't flow unless you turn on the faucet. So, you start doing it and just keep doing it, and read a lot. Read a lot of different authors to see what their style is, mimic their style to a point, but eventually you'll find your own style. And it may be a combination of several of those that just kind of come together for you. But so write every day, read a lot. Those are the two major things, I think.
Do you have a set pattern to your day that you have set aside for writing, or how do you go about it?
I do my best writing in the morning. Uh, so I try to get at least a couple of thousand words done in the morning when I can sit down and write. Um, but it doesn't always happen. I'm not that disciplined. I have other things that go on. We have 6 grandkids, and we have to do things with them. And um, I don't know. It's just when I can, I write, and as much as I can, as often as I can.
Excellent. So where can people find out more about your books? And actually, a better question to start you out with here. If someone were to jump into the world of Wayne Winkle and experience your writing and such like that, what book would you have them start with?
Well,
There's a lot to choose from, I know that.
yeah. I think I think any of the series would be good. Um, the John Taylor Bishop series was a good one. Readers really liked that. So I would start with the first of those books. Um, and I'm drawing a blank on the title right now. But yeah, go to Amazon and look at the John Taylor Bishop series. Pick the first of those books and read that series. There was another one too. The 10 TENN St. John series. This is farther back, but it's still there, and I think that was a good series as well. I think 5 or 6 books in that one did very well. So those would be good, good starting places.
Okay, excellent. And there are multitudes for people to explore once they start to get into you from there. So,
Yes, right.
and all of which are available currently on Amazon. Anywhere else people can find out about you?
Amazon's the best place to go. Right now, that's where all of my books are. I would really like to explore getting into the bookstores and get some hardcover books sold, and kind of working on that here and there with Nick Whale. We'll see where that goes.
Very good. Well, Wayne, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It was fascinating to be able to speak to you finally after years of working with you on things.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm glad to be with DSP.
Oh, we're very glad to have you. Not
Good.
that, being in the top 10 of everything isn't like something we really want.
Yeah.
But a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.